ruined it for everybody else. It's not going to work. And I didn't want to go into sales anyway. I resisted sales like crazy because sales involves a lot of words I wasn't comfortable with. Words like cold calling and not personal. And of course my favorite, rejection. Who'd want to get involved in an activity like that? Not me. I wanted to do something where my talents were in, and my talents were certainly not in sales. So I got involved in other things. And what I really wanted was not cold calling and not personal and rejection. Here's what I wanted: creative, different, fun. How many of you want creative, different, fun? Just put your hands up. Creative, right? Who doesn't want that? So I think 2 hands. You want twice as fun. Exactly. Yeah, excellent. That's why you come here. So I got involved in occupations that should have been the case. I became an actor. I was an actor for a while, and I left that and went into business, and I worked in a marketing department, eventually went into advertising, jobs that should have been creative and different and fun. They should have been. But I had in each case I had a manager, a boss, a jerk. I had 20 jobs, 20 jerks. In fact, I used to tell my friends about this, and I was complaining all the time. And one day I said, what do you think the odds are? I've had 20 jobs, I've had 20 jerks in a row, until one day a friend said, I could buy maybe 1 or 2 jerks, but, really, 20 in a row, maybe it's not the boss. Maybe it's you. And maybe you want to think about a change. And then we were taking a walk together, and he says, look at the cars here in the parking lot where the salespeople park. Look at those cars. Porsches, Mercedes, Jaguars. And look at your crappy car with the dents and the whole thing. Maybe you want to think about sales. And I went, nah. No. All right. So I reluctantly went into sales. And I would love to be able to say to you, I was successful right off the bat, but that was simply not the case. No, it was not. I was terrible. Just terrible. First off, I'd come in not knowing how to do anything, and I'd just look around. How was everybody else doing it? And I would see these very successful, very experienced salespeople drinking coffee, right? This was their prospecting. Drinking coffee, reading the paper. Their phone would ring, they'd pick it up. Hey, Joe, hey, what do you call? Oh, what can I sell you today? Oh, thank you for calling in that order. And I used to look at those people go, how do I get my phone to ring? My phone doesn't ring. I gotta get me one of them ringing phones. I got the wrong phone. Gotta make other people's phone ring. How do I get my phone to ring? So I wrote letters. See, I was a good marketer. How many of you are good marketers? Good marketers here? Anybody? Yeah, but you're all great marketers. Come on, admit it, you're all great. I wrote great letters, right? If I took my letter to the bank, I felt that the bank would loan me money on the strength of the letter I was about to send. These were incredible letters. These weren't just letters. These were works of art. These were like framing kind of letters. So I was a little surprised when I called and followed up and had this exchange. Did you get that letter I sent you? And they would go, no. So then I'd call again, and maybe I'd resend it. Now did you get it? Well, yeah, but I didn't read it. So now did you get it a week later? Yeah. Did you read it? Yeah. Any questions? No. Okay, are you interested? Well, if I were the interested party, I'd have called you. Good point, good point. And so I didn't know how to make it work, and I would eventually pick up the phone. I didn't know what I said. I picked up the phone, I called. I didn't know what to say. I don't know what I actually said. I think to them it sounded like this. Hi, I don't know why you would meet with me, but if you did, I might make some money. I don't know what's in it for you, however. Should we meet? No? Okay, well then, thank you anyway. Thank you for confirming that cold calling does not work. And so what I did is I stopped doing that. I stopped sending letters. I just started walking in. I just unannounced. I would cold call in person. I'd walk around. And you do a lot of things. How many of you, anybody here do that? You walk, yeah, okay. So that's a great experience. First of all, you drive up to buildings and you go, I don't like the look of the building. I could see the building alone, the door. Look at the door. They're never going to buy. It's got no written all over it. And so you drive, let me just go to that restaurant there, work on my expenses for a while. And then, you'd meet with, I got so depressed. I'd be practically standing by the door going, with my contract in my hand, go, are you going to buy from me or should I just go home and cry into my cocktail? Which one? And it was just horrible. But even as horrible as I was, Eventually, of course, I got a sale. Everybody eventually gets a sale. I got a couple of sales together, and when I did, that was it. I just worked those accounts to death. No time for any prospecting now. No time for moving on. I got to make sure I don't lose those few accounts I got. And when I got a little bit of money together, I bought a house. It was my first house, and it was a new to-be-constructed house. And I didn't know how it worked back then. I didn't know the way it works with a new house or any house is that you put money down on contract, and then when you get to closing, you put the rest of the money down. But if you don't put the rest of the money down at closing, you forfeited the contract. At least that's how it worked in the new house. So there I was, putting the money down on contract, and when I started to think about how the ramifications of not coming up with the rest of the money on closing, I went from a formerly sound sleeper kind of guy to a guy who couldn't sleep at all. I'd wake up, I had these tremendous stomach muscles, because I'd wake up out of a sound sleep, go, oh my God, I'm going to lose all that money I put down. I got to go back there and make some sales just to make sure it's going to happen. And so I got on the phone and I pressed. I admit I pressed. In fact, I thought that was better selling. I'd like be pushy on the phone, and somehow I still managed to make appointments, and I'd go on sales, and I'd be on the sales call. All I'd be thinking about is the house. Got to pay for the house. Got to pay for that 3-bedroom house with the fireplace. And I'd be in the middle of the sale, and nothing would happen, and the guy would say, we're going to wait a year. And I'd go, okay, what do I do now? What do I do now? Tell the builder, don't put the 3rd bedroom on. 2 bedrooms will be just fine. And then the second sale, that didn't work out either. We don't need a fireplace, and we don't need walls, and we don't need a floor, and we don't need a roof. By the time I moved in, it was a shoebox. Well, that was 15 years ago. And now I'm the president of DEI Management Group, and I work for an owner who's written 30 books. And he and I, and a woman that's sitting in the back of the room, personally grew this company from what was a one-person regional training company that nobody heard of. If the map of training companies looks like this, we were the tiniest dot, you couldn't even see the dots, working in the New York metropolitan area. I'm from New York, by the way. Anybody pick that up? So I know a couple of people thinking, Wisconsin with that accent, isn't that? No, actually it is New York. And we together grew this company from this dot, less than a dot on a dot, to one of the biggest training companies in the U.S. with 9,000 clients that read like a who's who list, companies internationally. We've even grown our business by adding franchises, and we were able to get 23 franchisees to come in a year and a half, and virtually every one of them are as successful by our own internal training as our own internal salespeople would have been if we continued with that model. And about 1/3 of them are doing spectacularly. And how did it happen? By selling. And how did I help? By teaching them how to sell and by selling. Me! It wasn't even my goal. My goal wasn't to sell. My goal was creative, different, fun. So how it happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. I started to make a number of little tiny adjustments. One adjustment is, and this is going to seem counterintuitive, I stopped trying to sell. I certainly stopped trying to close. I no longer close. What I now do is I focus on one thing only.